taking away their rights. So my question to you would be, what is the logical difference between Christians 200 years ago using the Bible to justify the enslavement of black people and a Christian today using the Bible to take away access to healthcare from women?
America is at a crossroads. On one side, we have Donald Trump and the pro-life movement standing up for the rights of the unborn, fighting against a system that sanctions mass murder under the guise of choice. On the other side, a woke, indoctrinated teenager spewing half-baked leftist rhetoric, trying to justify the killing of innocent babies with logical fallacies, emotional manipulation, and complete historical ignorance. In this video, we're going to rip apart the woke teens' pro-choice arguments and show why the pro-life stance isn't just moral, it's the only logical stance to take.
Okay.
Howdy.
Hi. So the claim that you're saying about conservatives not caring about family values, let's kind of backtrack a little bit because Donald Trump himself, I think he's kind of a new wave of republicanism, and a lot of people kind of seem to forget that. So conservatives, yes, the old Republican Party, they did see that the old-fashioned traditional values maybe were not ideal for certain family dynamic situations that you're claiming, you know, gay, lesbian, whatever. But I think the Republican Party has definitely changed its viewpoint and its value system quite a little bit. And now with laws and legislations, I can pretty much guarantee you that almost every Republican in this room would not be opposed to LGBT rights and people marrying people of the same sex. So that's one claim. And then if we want to talk about family values, the Democrats, they tend to hypersexualize children a lot in Hollywood. I work in the entertainment industry and I constantly see many investors constantly pushing for these rhetorics, and there's nothing to be said about it. And unfortunately, I'm exposing myself a little bit by just saying this because it's very controversial for me to work in an industry that's constantly fighting for children to consistently be human trafficked in Hollywood. I have so many friends that have tried to be sexualized under this propaganda, and it's really saddening. You know, I can agree because I used to be a liberal myself, so I can side with you on certain things. But, you know, my mother, who grew up in a very democratic vision, she herself also views that abortion is very sinful and it's unfortunate. I can agree with you on the fact that people should have a right to their own body, and we're not saying that they shouldn't. That's why, hence, Donald Trump did state many times that the state should be involved with those legislations and not himself. In situations such as people who are raped and all of those nuances, you know, it's yes, go ahead.
So just a quick question about abortion.
Yes.
Do you agree with like giving the states the ability to legislate on that?
Well, we give the states legislation on many things.
Okay, so you do agree. So do you think that abortion is murder?
I think it is because...
So do you think that we should leave murder up to the states?
Well, I think leaving the murder cases up to Democrats is a little appalling. If you look at the crime rates that are happening with all these children being killed and murdered constantly, you know, Catholics believe that when you kill a child, you know, that's basically the ultimate mortal sin. Okay. And there are many sins that we can discuss. Donald Trump having affairs, yes, nobody's denying all those cases, but at the end of the day, the biggest mortal sin that we talk about in the Bible is killing another human. Okay. So a human who has a heartbeat in the womb, yes, I'm not opposed to people having the right to their body, but I think at the end of the day, you know, if you were to ask yourself if God was real, you better hope and wish that he isn't, because you go to heaven and he asks you why you killed all those humans. It's compared to genocide with Hitler.
Here's my thoughts on that. So first of all, like I don't want to like tell you that your religion is false. That is not my goal. In fact, that's not what I'm going to do.
Of course not.
I want to take a different approach, right? Okay. So I'd say that Christianity is inherently faith-based, right? It's something that you can't justify outside of your own faith. It's something that has a lot of philosophical issues, right? It's something that, you know, exists in a realm apart from, you know, how we would conventionally justify policy that we'd want to pass. Say when we're justifying economic policy, you know, we'd evaluate its outcomes. We'd look at what it costs to the people, and we'd use that information, that empirical evidence, to justify if it's good or bad. But when you legislate on the basis of your faith, it doesn't allow you that room, because you're just kind of using like your speculatory beliefs to justify the legislation.
Correct.
And I'd say one last thing here, right? During like antebellum era slavery here at home in the U.S., we saw Christian nationalists using like Leviticus 25 verses 44 through 46 of the Bible to justify justify the enslavement of black people at the time, taking away their rights. So my question to you would be, what is the logical difference between Christians 200 years ago using the Bible to justify the enslavement of black people and a Christian today using the Bible to take away access to healthcare from women? I don't think we could think of a logical distinction there, and that's why I'd say faith is best to be practiced in the confines of your own home and your own life.
This woke activist argues that Christianity is just a belief system and that faith shouldn't influence policy. That's a slick and intellectually dishonest talking point. But let me ask you this. Was slavery abolished because of faith? Yes. It was Christians who fought to end slavery based on their belief in God-given rights and human dignity. Was the civil rights movement driven by faith? Yes. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a Christian pastor who fought for justice based on biblical truth. So now, suddenly, when it comes to protecting unborn babies, faith is off limits. The hypocrisy is outstanding. This isn't about religion, it's about defending human rights. And the pro-life movement is on the right side of history.
So then why did Gavin Newsom ban people from practicing and praying in their own home? During the Biden administration, Gavin Newsom locked everyone down, fined them $900 just for practicing their religion. There are many people in Pasadena. There's a Pasadena church locally, and they were fined $900. Gavin Newsom prioritized gyms, facilities, recreational centers, and Catholic nuns were describing their distress over this. So what happened to freedom of speech? What happened to democracy? Because clearly you guys are constantly promoting that, right? But it seems like it's a communistic approach to our society.
Okay, can you define communism for me real quick?
Communism is someone who constantly dictates what's happening, and they average out everyone for the minority, for the majority. Everyone has to have the same houses. I mean, you look at Cuba, everybody has to have the same houses. If you go to a Latin American country, they are not pro-abortion. They are not.
Okay, so real quick, that's not what communism is. Communism is a stateless, classless, moneyless society, right? And like once again, right, this rhetoric from a right, just kind of calling anything that they don't like communism, just kind of reminds me of the Red Scare in the 1970s.
Well, it's the same way with Democrats. When you don't like something, you tend to attack the right because you hate everything they go for. The LGBTQ communities, they are constantly promoting propaganda where they include.
I'll clarify this.
Listen,
you just said if I don't like something,
Democrats are constantly pushing for openness and acceptance with the LGBTQ community and many organizations. And then guess what? As soon as you go against the rhetoric, as soon as you believe in God, all these LGBT communities are... Yes. Okay.
Thank you for the conversation.
Sorry.
Welcome back.
Yeah. Actually, let me check your name really quick, because I didn't last time.
Of course.
There's a lot of different claims, different topics that was hit on this exact question. But one thing I do want to state from the beginning is this debate is Democrats versus Republicans, not Trump versus whoever they have in office, Kamala or whatever. So I really want to focus on Republican policies that have been pushed throughout history to now, and not separate things that two individuals say. So I want to go on to abortion, because abortion was talked about a lot when it comes to family values.
Yeah.
I really don't think if a party is pushing for adoption to raise a child versus murder, that's not shying away from family values. That's not against family values. Because if that was really true, how come in pretty much every single state to date, if somebody is to term or carrying a child and they get murdered, is a double murder? It's not a single murder, it's a double murder.
Sure.
So if the judicial system looks at it that way, shouldn't abortion be looked at the same way? Or is it based on the person decide, oh yeah, I could kill somebody or not?
Yeah, I can explain that to you. So first of all, I would like to tell you why I'm pro-choice. That's because I don't value, right, a unicellular life form that doesn't have the ability to display like first-person subjective experiences, right? I don't value the fetus until it has that ability. That comes at about 20 through 24 weeks. But now that we got that out of the way, you do ask.
A fetus isn't a human until 24 weeks. Ah, yes. The classic, it's not a person until I say so argument. This is dangerous, unscientific, and complete nonsense. Fact. At just 6 weeks, a fetus has a heartbeat. Fact. By 10 weeks, the baby has unique DNA, fingers, toes, and brain activity. Fact. By 15 weeks, the baby can feel pain. So let me get this straight. If a premature baby is born at 22 weeks and survives, it's a person. But if the same baby is inside the womb at 23 weeks, it can be legally killed? This is barbaric, and anyone defending it is pushing an anti-science, anti-human agenda.
Right. You do ask a great question, right? How can I say that abortion isn't murder, then turn around and support legislation that would allow someone that kills a mother that is pregnant to be charged with double homicide? Well, I could tell you through an analogy. Let's say you have a car. What kind of car do you drive?
I drive a Malibu.
You drive a Malibu, okay. So if you go up to your Malibu, after we're done debating here, and you break the windshield, did you do anything wrong?
I mean...
No, it's your car. It's your property. You can make that decision.
It depends on what view you look at it.
Let's think about it this way. If you go up to your car and you consent to breaking your car's windshield, you didn't do anything wrong there. You have a right to do that. But if someone else just walking down the street goes up and breaks your car's windshield without your consent, did they do something wrong?
If you okay, for example, let's say this. If I go out on the street right now...
Wait, do you mind just answering my question so I can explain this analogy to you?
Go ahead.
So if someone else walking up the street breaks your car's windshield without your consent, did they do something wrong?
I agree, yeah.
And that's the same way I think about the right to an abortion. I would define murder as the unjustified termination of a human being's life. And I'd say it is justified when the mother would do it, as she would have the right to, as a fetus is presiding.
The windshield analogy used to justify abortion is laughable. Intellectually bankrupt comparison that completely fails to grasp the reality of a human life. Comparing a baby in the womb to a car windshield is not only insulting, but also dehumanizing. A car is an inanimate object. It has no rights, no heartbeat, no DNA, and no future. A fetus, from the moment of conception, is a living human being with unique DNA separate from the mother. Destroying a car and ending a human life are not even remotely comparable. Furthermore, this analogy actually destroys the pro-choice argument. If an unborn child is truly just like a windshield, then why does the law recognize double homicide when a pregnant woman is murdered? Why do premature babies survive and thrive outside the womb at 22 to 24 weeks? The reality is abortion isn't about property rights. It's about life and death. Trying to justify abortion with this absurd comparison is nothing more than a pathetic attempt to disguise the killing of an unborn child as a personal decision. The pro-life movement stands for human dignity, responsibility, and protecting the most vulnerable, something the left has completely abandoned.
This is presiding within your uterus, but if some non-consenting third party walks up and unalives her and the fetus within her room without her consent, that is unjustified.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you as well, man.
All right, so I think your first claim, you were saying that because Donald Trump has this past and this history, that therefore he's anti-family, and then therefore the entire Republican base is anti-family. Is that your argument?
I'd like to make two corrections here.
Sure.
So first of all, that's not the only reason why I'd say this. It's just one of many.
It's one of your arguments.
And then second of all, I wouldn't say that every conservative ever on the face of planet Earth is doesn't actually care about family values for this reason. I'd just say that this is going to be typically true.
Okay, so you think just because Donald Trump is the Republican candidate that therefore typically conservatives or Republicans are anti-family?
Well, I'd say the consideration of who the Republican Party is championing, Donald Trump, a consideration of the consequences of pro-life legislation while not having good reason to enact that legislation in the first place, along with being anti-IVF and anti-LGBTQ+ are going to be for good reasons.
Right. So let's look at Democrats then.
Okay.
Are you going to say that Democrats are anti-family because they elected someone like Bill Clinton and he cheated on Hillary with Monica Lewinsky? Is that... because I think if you are going to say that Trump makes the Republicans anti-family, you're going to have to say the same thing about Democrats and some of the candidates that they've elected.
Not necessarily, right? I think if Bill Clinton...
Hey, let him talk. Let him talk.
When Democrats voted for Bill Clinton, did they know, because they had a crystal ball, that he was going to end up cheating on his wife with Monica Lewinsky?
No, they didn't.
But when you're going to vote for Trump in November, do you have the prior knowledge that he cheated on 3 of his wife? He sexualized a little girl on an interview with CBS in 1992.
Yes, but also Democrats voted not to impeach him.
Okay.
Right? So aren't all the Democrats in the House that voted to not impeach him now anti-family?
Well, first of all, I gave you 4 considerations why I'd say that the conservative voter base is going to be anti-family. That's going to be one. But I would say that, yes,
Well,
the
right. We
Democrats
have
in
to
Congress,
look at one argument at a time.
well, I mean, I wouldn't say that, yeah, this alone is necessary in saying that all conservatives are anti-family. I'd say it's one of the considerations. I would say that, yeah, like the Democrats in Congress that didn't elect to impeach Bill Clinton probably didn't do the right thing there. But then additionally, I'd say even when we look at legislation from the Democratic platform versus the Republican one, I mean, the Democratic platform, wants to federally protect all women and girls' or right to access abortion, right? That's going to make sure that unwanted kids aren't placed into unready households. The Democrat platform wants to raise the child tax credit to $6,000.
Right. So, I mean, you're being pushed on this argument, and then you're just bringing up other arguments. You're not actually addressing my claims. But additionally, I don't think you can say, oh, just because I'm going to vote for this candidate because I like their policies means I'm therefore anti-family. And I think you have a lot of Republicans, myself included, that are very pro-family and that, want those things and are disgusted by Trump's previous behavior. But that's not our voting philosophy. Our voting philosophy is based off of policies and what we think are going to be best for the country. That doesn't mean we don't have disagreements with Trump and his personal life.
Yeah.
And I think with literally any candidate, you're going to have disagreements on different policies that they like and different personal behaviors and actions in their life.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that therefore I'm anti-family because I'm going to vote for Donald Trump.
Well, here's the way I'd put it. I don't see how you could call yourself pro-family, turn around, platform Donald Trump with his, anti-family past, cheated on 3 of the wives, 1 with a porn star, and vote for his legislation that in turn is anti-family as well.
I just said that's not our voting philosophy.
You said that you voted on the context of politics.
Wow. It's unbelievable what the universities and colleges are producing. Just a bunch of dumb, woke, ignorant, propagandist idiots. So Trump's personal life means Republicans aren't pro-family. The left loves to attack Trump's personal history as if that somehow invalidates his pro-life stance. Let me explain something. Pro-life isn't about Trump's past. It's about protecting unborn babies. Trump has done more for the pro-life movement than any president in modern history. He appointed the justices that overturned Roe v. Wade, restoring power to the states. Liberals act like we're voting for a pastor. We're not. We're voting for a leader. And Trump's policies have been 100% pro-life. So let's stop pretending that his past relationships somehow justify killing babies in the womb. The final verdict, pro-life is the only logical stance. At the end of the day, the woke teens' argument completely crumble under scrutiny. They're built on moral relativism, logical inconsistencies, historical ignorance, emotionally charged fallacies. Meanwhile, the pro-life movement stands on scientific facts, moral clarity, human rights for all. And that's why Donald Trump and the pro-life movement are right. What do you think? Drop a comment below, like and share if you stand for life, subscribe for more truth that the media won't tell you.